Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Storytime. My name is Courtney Baker. Thank you for joining us. This episode is so special. I could not wait to release it for all of you. It features one of my friends and one of the most incredible people you will ever meet. Current NASCAR driver and also naval officer, Jesse Iwuji. He has such a special story and he has the biggest heart in the world. So I'm so pumped to allow y'all to virtually meet him. And I hope that y'all become fans of his. I'm sure you will after this episode, but stay tuned, enjoy, and make sure to follow along with him on social as well. Y'all, welcome back. I am here with Jesse Iwuji, who is one of my absolute favorite people. He is so amazing. I'm really excited for y'all to get to know him. So Jesse, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course. So I know the NASCAR season just ended. So what does your off season look like? I know it's never really an off season for you, but what have you been up to?
There's never really truly an off season. You're always working on the next year or the next thing. For us, obviously, season's over, but next race is now Daytona, and that's in February. So right now, just really working on putting together the right partnerships and stuff so that we can run a lot more races next year. This year, once again, I ran a part-time season, part-time in the truck series and part-time in the Xfinity series, and had a good time doing it. It was a really good learning year for me. We didn't have practice at all, really, this year after the COVID stuff hit. So going to some of these tracks for the first time in these vehicles was a little bit tough, but I had to learn on the fly. And, as challenging as it was, I still learned a lot. And, I just made it a goal every single race to, hey, go out there, run the full race, finish the race. Wherever we finish is wherever we finish, but go out there and just learn. Use this as a learning year. And I did. So next year, the goal is to go in and then try to do a little bit better.
And it was super fun watching you. I know in both, like you said, the truck series and the Xfinity series. And I have to ask because it was my first year watching the truck series, and I really only watched it because you were in it. And it's interesting to watch. So I want to know, obviously, there's a huge difference between a truck and a car. But for you as a driver, like, is it a lot is it two different completely vehicles to learn? Like, are there some similarities? What's the biggest challenge for you there?
Yeah, I would say similarities, power, both of them are pretty high horsepower vehicles. They're all 650, 700 or so horsepower. But as far as the actual like aero and stuff, aero is probably where you see the biggest differences. On the aerodynamics with the truck, they have, a pretty big spoiler in the rear. They are pretty planted to the ground. So when you go in the corner in the trucks on these, at least on the 1.5 mile tracks, a lot of times you're wide open throttle throughout the track before, the tires wear and you got to start lifting a bit, depending on how well your setup is for your truck. Going into Xfinity car is not really the case. You can't be wide open the whole time because they have usually more speed going into the corner, so you got to lift a little bit. They don't have as much aero, so there's no big rear spoiler, so there's not a lot of downforce on the rear keeping you planted to the ground. So there's a lot of big aero difference, and then also too in traffic, the trucks in traffic can be a little bit of a handful to drive because sometimes people will take the air off of you depending on where they position their vehicle near you. Whereas in Xfinity, it's not as dramatic. And it's a lot easier to drive, I believe, in traffic.
That's interesting. And one thing, like I mentioned to you earlier, we did have Anthony Alfredo on the show, who also ran a part-time Xfinity season. And we were really talking about how you have to be athletic to be a driver. And people don't really realize that. So for you, you were a D1 football player with Navy. And has that helped your transition? I know obviously you're a naval officer, and we'll get into that because that's another amazing story and you have to be fit for that. But did your football career help you at all just with being a driver?
Yeah, being a football player, I think it helped a lot, especially on the physical side of it. When you're in the race car, you are dealing with a lot of different dynamics. A lot of different things are happening to your body that are stressing your body. The G-forces when you go into the corner over and over and over, the heat stress. In these race cars, it can get all the way up to really 150 degrees depending on how hot it is outside and what the ambient temperature is. So being able to handle that heat stress, handle the physicality of the race car, all that stuff is really stuff that I kind of, went through in football. It's very physical in football. It's hot. You're running around all day, no matter what the temperatures are. If it's 100 degrees outside, you're still in full pads, practicing, sprinting, running, hitting each other, all that. So got through all that physical stress and heat stress stuff during football, learned how to deal with it, learned how to prepare my body for it, how to hydrate properly and how to eat the right stuff. I learned all that in football, and that's now translated over to the racing world. So it hasn't been a difficult, I would say, transition.
And did you know when you were playing football that you wanted to be a driver, or was it something that happened just post college?
I did not realize that I wanted to be a racing driver while I was playing football. While I was playing football, my whole goal was just to play football. And then when football was over, I was looking for the next big, exciting thing to do. And I had always had a passion in cars and racing. And somehow, some way, I made the decision that I was going to go after it. And at first, it wasn't really going after professional racing. It was just more of buying a fast car, taking it to tracks near me, doing track days on the road courses, and going to drag strips and doing drag days and doing all that, just amateur fun stuff. And after a few years of that, while still being in the Navy, active duty, I decided that, hey, I have a little bit of skill in this. Why not try to take it to the next level? Why not try to become a professional race car driver? So I was sitting in my room one night. I pulled my whiteboard off my wall. I raced whatever was on it, and I just wrote one big goal, and that was become a pro driver. And that was in January 2014. And that is where my journey began. That's where I started putting pen to paper. That's when I started grinding and trying to figure out how to make this whole thing happen.
That's amazing. And it's been so fun watching you. And I know also you do a lot of, not sideline, but what would you call it? Like in the racing world, just
Pit
with you
reporting. Pit reporting.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
know I see you just years in Phoenix doing that, and you kill it too. So is that something that you kind of went into? Did you try for that, or did it just kind of like fall into your lap because everybody's like, all right, he's so well spoken, such a good storyteller. Give him a mic.
The latter. I never thought that broadcasting would be in any of my cards, but throughout this whole racing journey, I've realized that I've always had to figure out unique ways to continue to be relevant, continue to get TV time, continue to get my story out there, and continue just to explore all opportunities out there. I mean, during this whole journey, there's a ton of opportunities, and if you limit yourself, you never know when something big and something really good can happen. So when the opportunity arose to have a chance to be on the broadcast team with NBC Sports, I was like, hey, this is a great chance for me to get TV time, because I know eventually after racing is over here in maybe 10 years or so for me, I'm going to go into the whole Hollywood world. I'm going to be in some shows, movies,
Yes.
you name it. I'm going to be in all of it. But this is a great opportunity to learn a few things on the TV side. And I had fun doing it. And it's definitely very challenging. It's not easy at all. You have to be like on point. There's no redos. There's no edits. You're live, and you have to spit out a lot of pertinent information quick.
Yeah, I'm always so impressed. And I was in the pit area, the March race in Phoenix, and I would always see the reporters like running around trying to get different information. And I mean, props to you guys, because that takes a lot of work and you do such a good job. And I think your personality, in case people can't tell just from this podcast, but you have one of the best personalities ever. Like, you're truly one of the greatest guys. And I think that has also what's led to your success. Like, you are the military brand ambassador for Truecar. So how did that all happen, and what has that partnership meant to you?
Yeah, the partnership's been really cool. Gotten the opportunity to link up with Truecar and Truecar Military. We've been able to do a lot of great things, including the partnership we had for the Phoenix race that I just ran a couple weeks ago. But Truecar Military, they are out here doing a lot of great stuff for our service members and vets. And in fact, I was just part of their Driven to Drive program just recently, where they were giving away a vehicle to a disabled vet. And that was such a cool experience to go knock on her door, Kara, go knock on her door and be the one to surprise her and be like, hey, you have a brand new Chevy ZR2 truck sitting right now in your front yard pretty
Oh,
much. And this is for you. And it was just such an emotional experience for her because it meant so much. And things like that change people's lives. So for Truecar Military to be able to do stuff like this, I think is great. And I just was honored to even be part of it. So on this, partnership with Truecar has been great. Looking forward to hopefully doing more in the future. And anytime I can link up with a brand that supports our military, it's an okay for me.
And a new car is like the best early Christmas present you could ever ask for. So it's amazing that you got to do that. And then what we've also seen, especially with this weird COVID year, especially with racing being one of the first to come back with iRacing and then getting back to regular races, but we've seen a huge collaboration between NFL and NASCAR, which is one that I think a lot of people are like, this is really strange. Like we haven't seen this before. And you've actually partnered up with Emmitt Smith, who is a legend. So if you can explain to everyone kind of what that partnership is and how it came about.
Yeah. So the partnership with Emmitt Smith was actually a pretty cool one. Being able to have him be part of our Texas race back in October, that was really cool. And he's co-owner in the Notable Live company. He's been huge face for the company to really get it out there, Notable Live, kind of similar to what we're doing here on Zoom, except it's a place where influencers can actually have a live stage in a way and be able to do live events and not in a conference style meeting like this, but more of a they actually have the stage and they can bring people on if they want and stuff like that. So
Oh
really
my
cool
gosh.
platform, love it. Notable Live, it's awesome. Check it out if you get a chance. But yeah, to have Emmitt Smith part of it was cool. I've watched him play football pretty much throughout my whole life. I was in seventh grade. I was 22 because I didn't know any better, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going
Oh.
to be Emmitt Smith's number," and I played running back. So that was great. But it was a really cool opportunity to team up with them, and it's cool seeing all the other athletes from different sports now, basically getting into NASCAR.
That's awesome. And now we're going to talk about, I think, probably one of the most special things about you. And I wrote down the official way to word it because I did not want to screw it up. But you are the only driver currently racing at the national level to have ever served in the military. And you're, like you said, you're still an active service member. And I know when I saw you in Phoenix, a couple days later, you were deployed. So how do you manage just serving in the Navy and also trying to have a career in racing? Because I know for you, you've said so many times, like your country is what you want to serve and it's what you're passionate about. But how do you balance the two?
Yeah, it can be tough to balance it. I've been serving the last 10 years now. I was active duty for 7, been in the reserves the last 3, but in the reserves, you're not really taking too much time off. You're still working every single month. So, when we saw each other in Phoenix earlier this year, I think it was like a day or two later, I was basically heading off to do some active training with my unit. And we went off to the Middle East. We were there for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden COVID hit and everybody had to go home. But it's definitely been wild trying to balance the two. I've had multiple weekends where I had a race on a weekend, and on that same weekend I had Navy drill. And I've had it where I did my race on Friday night and did Navy drill Saturday, Sunday. And Navy drill might have been 6, 7, 8 hours away, and I had to drive through the night just to get to the drill
Oh,
location to do it. And I've had to do that a few times. The longest one was I believe it was back in 2017. I had to drive from Roseville, California, so basically Sacramento area, all the way down to Ventura. And I had to be there by like 7 a.m.
oh my
After
gosh.
a race that I raced. I raced that Saturday night, and I need to be there 7 a.m. Sunday morning.
Jeez. And how does your body even handle that? Because I know there was a picture of Clint Boyer
Mhm.
after a race several weeks ago where he got out of his car and you could tell like he was just drained. And Austin Dillon, I know, has had issues, and Bubba Wallace. And I mean, it clearly dehydrates you and everything. So how are you able to race and then go straight into like training the next day?
Yeah, it's not easy. I would say the biggest thing is the preparation leading up. Definitely make sure you're drinking a lot of water, but more than water, I drink like other hydrating type liquids. Like Pedialyte's great. there's all these different things. You can do Powerades, all that. So there's all different things you can kind of mix together and just kind of drink throughout the week. Coconut water, I buy a bunch of coconuts and cut them up and drink that. Whatever you can do that's hydrating. Bananas, eat a lot of bananas. Pickles, salt a lot of your foods. Just there's a lot of different things you do throughout the week to make sure you're ready. And then, just a lot of physical training. I mean, I work out and run every day, so my body's used to taking that kind of stress.
I got to set you up with Liquid IV because I know one of the founders, he used to play for the Diamondbacks, and they work with a lot of athletes. So if you haven't tried that yet, I got to connect to you, get a sponsorship going there.
I got to figure out a way to get IV in me without sticking myself. I hate sticking myself.
No, they're little packets. Like they're
Yeah.
little packets that have the hydration of like 3 water bottles. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's the best hangover thing. So I'll connect you. We'll work on that one for you. But I also want to know, because it takes such a special person to want to basically put themselves second in their country first. So for you growing up, when did you realize, okay, I want to be in the Navy?
For me, the realization didn't really hit until the Naval Academy started recruiting me to play football there. So when they basically came to my school back in 2004, I believe, I just looked at it as a great opportunity to go to a really good school, get a great education, play football for a great team, and then when I graduate, be able to pretty much have a job, a career started for me as an officer in the Navy. So when that opportunity came up, I was like, this is a win in all different kind of ways because not everybody's going to make it to the NFL, so I don't want to be that guy who goes to college and, plays football and it maybe just doesn't work out. And all of a sudden I'm like trying to figure out what to do after that. Like at Naval Academy, it's pretty much set up for you.
And what was your family and friends' reaction? Because I feel like I've heard so many different reactions where maybe people aren't super supportive because they're worried. How was your family with your decision?
To go off to the military, they were super supportive. My dad, he looks at the military as an honorable way to live life. So he loved it, and he loved everything about the Naval Academy and how prestigious the university was, and all of that. So my parents were very supportive of me going to the academy, and I'm happy I went. It's the best decision I ever made. It's helped set me up in a lot of different ways. For life. So I'm very happy that I went. Definitely recommend it to anybody who has the opportunity to go. If you get the opportunity to go to the Naval Academy, take it, or any of the academies.
Perfect. Yeah, that leads me right into my next question. So I was going to ask, what advice would you have for maybe kids, middle schoolers, high schoolers, whatever, that will have the recruiters start to come once COVID goes away and we go back to the normal world of school? What advice do you have for them if maybe they're a little hesitant, they want to do it, but they aren't sure? What would you tell them?
Yeah, for those looking to get into the military, whether it's, going to the Naval Academy or going to some regular university and doing an ROTC program, and then eventually being an officer in the military, or if it's just going straight from high school to the military as enlisted. There's all different kind of ways you can do it. I tell people like, hey, if you're looking at that route, take it. It's a great opportunity to go learn a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, like you have a job, so you don't got to worry about not having a job. You get to learn a lot, go to a lot of different places, gain a lot of different skills, and you can take those skills and transition it over to the civilian world. You don't have to stay in the military for life. If you want to, you can. I mean, once you join, you have every bit of opportunity to stay in for the next 20, 30 years of your life, retire, and get a check every month for the rest of your life. So it's just not a bad deal. How anyone could think it's a bad deal, it's just not. It's a good deal. And some people are afraid of some of the dangers and stuff. And yeah, I mean, with anything you do in life, there's dangers. You can hop in your car, drive out of your driveway, and somebody, run a stoplight and nail you. It almost happened to me the other day. Literally, it would have been 30, 50 yards from where I live. I could have gotten destroyed. It can happen. Anything can happen. So if you're worried about the dangers, don't worry about that. At the end of the day, there's a lot of different jobs you can do in the military. You don't only have to be able to hold a weapon and shoot people. That's not what the whole military is about. There's a lot of different things you can do. There's jobs you can do that you'll never even see a weapon in your life. And so, there's all different kind of ways you can serve the country. And, if you get the opportunity or the opportunity exists and you don't really know where to go in life, take it because it will help you get your direction right pretty quick.
I love that. And I'm just going to promote you for a second because I know you're so active on social media. So if there is anyone out there that maybe if you're an adult listening and your kid is considering following in Jesse's footsteps, go ahead and follow him on social media. Reach out to him. I always see him interacting with people. So Jesse, where can people follow you and reach out just if they have any questions?
Yeah, they can go on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Those are the ones I'm on mostly. And just look up my name, Jesse Iwuji. That's Jesse. Last name is Iwuji. If you can't remember that, just go on Google. Type in Navy NASCAR driver. I should be the only one that pops up. So look me up, follow me. If you ever got any questions, shoot me a message. I answer all my DMs. I usually get back to them usually in 24 to 48 hours, usually depending on the day or the weekend. But I get back to all of them. So if you got any messages, any questions, anything, just shoot me a message. I answer everything.
That's amazing. And I highly recommend people do that if you need some advice from Jesse. And finally, you, like I've mentioned and like we've talked about, you do so much for the community, like you said, with TrueCar. And just, I feel like you're always doing stuff, whether it's at the racetrack or whatever, to really reach out to veterans or people currently serving or families or whoever it may be. So whether it's from racing or from being in the Navy, what has been one of the coolest, most memorable, most touching experiences that you've been able to be a part of?
Been able to be part of a lot, but probably one of the best ones was the stuff we were able to do a few years ago for this kid. His name is Darian Nordstrom. He's a child. At the time when I first met him, he was about 4 years old, and he had terminal cancer, and the doctors didn't give him that long to live. But he had a goal to get a ride in a race car, and we were able to make that happen for him. When I heard about his story, I spent some money to fly him and his family to where our race team was. We converted one of our old race cars to like a 2-seater, and we were able to give him a ride on a track in a car, and that just made his world. And it's things like that, and others, providing different opportunities for him to live out some of his dreams before, he went off to heaven. And those things, I think, were what helped him elongate his life and be around for longer. He was 4. The doctors told him he only had 2 months. He made it to his 5th birthday that year. The very next year, he made it to his 6th birthday. And the very next year, he was about a month away from making it to his 7th. And then eventually he passed away. But I was able to see him one last time before he left this earth. And the reason I was because his mom reached out to me and he said, Darian told her that he didn't want to go see Jesus until he saw me again. And that was really touching. And I was like, you know what, I'm heading over there right now. That weekend I went over there, got to see him, and 7 days later he passed away. So he's now in heaven. He's looking down on us, and he's enjoying all the stuff he sees on the racetrack. And we're always thinking about him. I'm always posting about him every year. I always make some posts about him just so people can remember him because, he was an awesome kid. And, childhood cancer sucks, but it happens. So, I'm happy he was able to live out some of his goals and dreams before he left.
That's so special. That actually gave me the chills. I was trying not to tear up either. I'm going crazy in quarantine and cry at basically everything. So I was trying to hold that in, but that's amazing. And I'm sure you still have a close relationship. I know you said his mom reached out when he said he wanted to see you. And I feel like that's a relationship that you're going to have for the rest of your life now, because that's something that you did that not very many other people would go out of their way to do. I mean, I'm sure people would, but just for you to be so great. I mean, I feel like his mom is going to appreciate you for the rest of her life as well. So
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. And it's things like that. It's really off-track stuff we get to do that really makes this whole journey special. It's fun, obviously, racing on track and getting the opportunity to do that, but it's the things you get to do outside of that with the opportunities you've gotten on the track that really make a big difference in life. And that's what people remember. In the day, it doesn't matter how much you race, how many wins you ever get or whatever. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's just a number. It's just trophies. It's just like little plastic things. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's all about the experiences you have and how you're able to help people and help people reach their goals and do great things for people. That's what lasts forever. That's what makes a true difference.
I love that. And it looks like I have a little bit more time. So I'm going to ask you one more question before we go. So this year, like I said, it's been absolutely crazy. A lot of eyes have been on NASCAR. A lot of eyes have been on Bubba Wallace, especially. But with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, it's basically you and Bubba who are the two Black drivers in NASCAR. Now Michael Jordan coming in as a team owner with Denny Hamlin. How special has it been? Or maybe it's more pressure, or just what were your feelings this season with so many eyes on NASCAR and the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yeah, for me, my whole message this whole time was really a message of like unity. So for me, I don't care what color you are, black, white, it doesn't matter. For me, I'm all about unity. I'm all about this country will succeed if we all unite. So united will rise, divided will fall. And I learned that a long time ago, that's what any organization, any group of people, that's what needs to happen for you to succeed. There's people out there, there's powers out there, folks that love chaos, love division, and feed off of it, and just want to see the world burn. Like there are just people who want to see the world burn, and we can't let that happen. We have to unite together, everyone, not just black people, not just white people, not just Mexican people, not just Asians, not just Indians. It doesn't matter. All of us have to come together. If we ever want to be the America we were meant to be, we must unite together all as one and fight against these evil powers that are trying to divide us, create chaos for whatever agendas that they have.
I think that's such a special message and so important. And I know 2020, people are kind of losing their minds. People are being angry. People are just going off on social media. So I think that message of unity is definitely one the country needs. And hopefully just people get their act together and we all can be united. Because I agree, like if we're all united, if we all care about each other, just the world will be a better place. So definitely agree with that, and appreciate everything you're doing to use your platform to promote unity as well. I think that's so important. So Jesse, I appreciate you. It's been an honor to have you on the show. I know the holidays are coming up, but it's also COVID. So do you have any plans for the next month or so?
Visit family. I'm still busy. That's the funny thing. It's like life doesn't stop. It just only continues to stay busy. I still have businesses that I'm running, all this stuff. So, but really, as the year winds down, the biggest thing is getting to go home to Texas and see the family, hang out with them, have fun with them, and somewhat chill out a little bit, even though I don't get to chill out too much. But that's the biggest thing towards the end of this year. And just get ready for next year. A lot of simulator training. And take my Corvette out to the drift track and drift it a lot.
I love the pictures that you post all the time, all the different cars. I'm not a car person. I don't know what kind of car each one is that you post, but they're legit. So highly recommend everyone goes and looks at your Instagram because they're sick.
Thank you.
Well, best of luck. Try to stay sane, and good luck in 2021. I'm excited to root for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it should be a fun year. Just at the end of the day, you just gotta whatever comes. Life is like a deck of cards. So when you have the cards, you're all dealt a certain hand. Play the hand that you're dealt. Sometimes your hand that you're given is not maybe the most fair hand, but guess what? It's the hand. There's a deck of cards, and that's it. Some people are going to get good ones, and some people are going to get bad ones. Deal with the ones you got. It doesn't mean you can't win the game.
You're giving me like a dozen different quotes to use from this interview that I can take because they're so great. So appreciate you, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.